Hey everyone, so welcome to Chapter 16. And Chapter 16 focuses on domestic policy. And you might be wondering, well, what do we mean by domestic policy? As opposed to like foreign policy. Well, foreign policy looks at basically the issues that we look at that affect policies that we create that affect other countries. So, for example, every country on the planet, we have books and books and volumes on all the aspects of those countries so we can develop policies on how we are going to relate to them. Well, domestic policy is similar in the fashion that um, we get to, when we talk about domestic policy, focus on various aspects of the impact of the United States inside in our bubble of this country, and how the government sets about making decisions that basically impact the people of the country. Um, and in this, there are multiple aspects, obviously. In fact, many would argue that after the last presidential election, that a lot of the reasons why the Democrats lost, for example, was because of many of the domestic policy issues. Um, and it's interesting to note, on a side note to that, that many people were more concerned about about the various domestic policy issues than they really were about protecting the sanctity of our democracy or even the rule of law. That there are many issues, particularly economic issues, that were driving a lot of the narrative about why people voted for one side versus the other, as well as security issues like the border. Um, and the interesting thing about that is some of it's based on misperception. And you'll see as you watch the videos for this chapter, and you have to do that anyway for the discussion, the impact of multinational corporations on influencing the behavior of what people perceive about the economy. So, for example, when people say, "Hey, the economy is great," for example, and then that may be great for millionaires and rich people, but is how does it relate for you? And the reality is, if you're not doing great, then who cares how the economy is really doing if you can't live that or if it's not true for you, right? So we have to keep that in mind. Um, so with that, there's a process by which in policy making occurs. Uh, and first, you have to identify a problem. That's where everything starts. So you have to figure out what the issue is that you want to identify that's happening inside of our country that we need to take a look at and to assess uh, what needs to be changed. So then from that process, as you can see here at the top of the this little chart, we go into the formulating phase. And here we say, okay, now that we know what the issue is, now let's figure out how we're going to deal with it, how we're going to formulate maybe a plan of action. Uh, in the process of that, we figure out what's going to be involved in the policy. And usually, as policies are being created, say it happens through the legislature, there are many people who put their fingers in the pie, as I say. So the policy may start off as something small and simple and then evolve into much more complex things because of the people involved, and everybody wants a piece of the action for their own areas. And so wherever they live in the country, they may want to add something that's relevant to their particular area to make the policy more universal rather than focusing on maybe one region of the country. Then you go from the process and formulation to the actual enactment or adoption of the policies. And here is where we say, "Oh, now we've got the policy. We're going to make sure we're going to take off and get going and get this policy up and running." And that goes to the enactment to the implementation. And from there is where we go to the make it work process. So we get to see the policy and how it actually operates. And then the last phase is the evaluation. So after a period of time, from looking at the policy, we can make evaluations to see what kinds of changes may need to be made or maybe additional funding put toward that particular issue. Because policies fail for many different types of reasons. Sometimes it's a great policy, but it didn't have enough funding. Sometimes it's purposely set up to fail politically. There are lots of different reasons why policy fails. Sometimes it's not being understanding of the situation or how maybe things have changed in the country. And that could be a reason why things fail sometimes. So there are all different types of reasons why things don't work out in some policies. But usually in that case, things can still be revamped. These are just some of the various issues that exist within our country. Like the budget, for example, is a huge aspect. Constitutional rights, which seems to be going by the wayside since people don't seem to have much reverence for the Constitution these days for whatever reason. Crimes and drugs, which is another sort of funny thing because the rule of law doesn't seem to apply much these days either. And sadly, even at the highest levels of our government. The economy, of course, education, healthcare, immigration, poverty, and so forth, and people of color. These are all various issues, and the issues of these constituencies are all the things that we look, some of the most important aspects, and numerous others. These are like the primary ones that we look at in terms of things, policies we have to create around these issues to address the needs of the people of this country. So with that, when we say what is public policy, again, again refers to the actions that are taken by the government to address the issues of the country. And then, of course, policy making, as you just saw in the previous charts, was basically the process by which we address those issues through the various stakeholders. Now, there are different types of policies. As I've said, there's regulatory policies, which sets up rules and standards. And then there's distributive policies that allocate resources. And then there are redistributive policies that reallocate resources. So they can take funds that come in from one source and then apply them to a different area and then reallocate those sources to areas of need versus maybe the areas they were originally intended for. Again, some of the other policy arenas we talked about: healthcare, education, environmental policy, economic policy. And then under healthcare, of course, when we look at healthcare policy, there are things like healthcare reform, Affordable Care Act, sometimes also called Obamacare, was put in place because we didn't have a national healthcare plan. And so the idea was, okay, so we need one. President Obama, under his administration, created a process by which most Americans could have health care in some way, shape, or form. It wasn't a perfect plan, but it was the first great measure to get things started to help poor people and middle income people be able to provide medical care at a reasonable cost. Some people who benefited from it were complaining about it, which is really interesting to me because people sometimes are very ignorant of the fact of things that are actually benefiting them, even though they will vote against them or be mad about the person who provided it for them. But again, I think sometimes people don't realize the policy. Sometimes you have to initiate a policy, get it to get it on the books, and then you can modify it as you test the waters to see how well it's working. Education policy is another one of those things, particularly regarding the roles of the federal and state government. Because, for example, the Department of Education provides funding that goes to the states, and the states can allocate those resources to take care of the education needs within their states. But more and more today, we're seeing pushback. The federal government has a different philosophy or vision of public education, for example, versus the needs of every state. And so each state has different policies that vary tremendously, and we don't really have a national plan of education, which is unfortunate in some ways. But this is how the country works. So things that apply in California may not apply in Texas, for example. But where the funding sources come from also dictate the level of accountability for those funds and how they're allocated. Again, environmental policies also, these are, of course, very political issues with regulations on pollution and, of course, natural resources and climate change initiatives. A lot of times, the people who are trying to tell you these things don't exist are the very corporations that are benefiting and making money on these issues. So their goal is to get you to think that, oh, climate change isn't real. Well, you don't even understand the billions of dollars that are put into the mix to get you to try to not vote for issues, protect your health, and protect the climate. So a lot of the commercial or the corporations who are responsible to completely discount your contribution and your view of the world regarding these issues because they're the ones who create the image that you believe by virtue of what they let you see or what they tell you. And of course, economic policy. This was really one of the primary drivers of the outcome of the last election. Of course, the issue of fiscal policy, which deals with taxation and how we spend our money, and then monetary policy, which is the goals and policies of the Federal Reserve and the actions that the Federal Reserve takes to either increase or decrease how the interest rates. So in this, of course, the policymakers and people who are involved in the policy making, certainly Congress, the president, and the federal bureaucracy are all involved in and the public administration system are are the infrastructure of the policymakers, and of course their goal is the create and to protect and to support their various aspects that are relevant to their particular constituencies regarding policy making. Of course, the influence from interest groups and public opinion certainly do sway some of those things. But remember, from the chapter on public opinion, a lot of your public opinion is created for you by manipulation of the media. So you have to be very careful, but also understand how that all plays out as well. So steps in the implementation process and the challenges, this is where it comes into how do we actually take it from thought to reality? It's what the implementation process is and who's going to be responsible. This is usually done through the public administration system. So you create a policy and then you have to create the infrastructure to make the policy work. And that's typically for federal, state, or local level policies. There usually is an infrastructure which is called the public administration system that drives and makes the policy operate. Again, the idea of budgeting and tax policy, there are different types of taxes. There's, of course, sales tax, there's income tax, corporate tax, all these things, sales taxes are all part of the equation that drive the tax policy and how the country takes in money. Ironically, probably one of the most, I would argue, frightening things is the fact that we have created an economy now that's built on indebtedness. And so how they take in money by taxation is a big issue, particularly in the middle class, where basically the middle class pay about a third of their income in income tax. But then as you saw or will see in the video, the Bill Moyers video in this chapter, how many corporations don't pay taxes at all. And, I remember back in 2015 when a billionaire like Trump um, joked about paying $750 in taxes in a year. And most people in the middle and lower classes pay substantially more than that. So when people want to know how this operates, the video for this chapter really will illustrate this for you a little bit more detail, which in disturbing detail, I might add. Of course, then we have to evaluate the policies to look at how they work and if they have worked and the effectiveness of the policy. That's the next phase of the process. And some of them are some of the current issues and domestic issues that we've talked about already. Of course, healthcare reform, income inequality, which you saw a video earlier in the semester, has said that economic inequality in the United States is worse than any place, any time in U.S. history, and is only getting worse as the richer get richer and the middle and poorer classes get poorer. Of course, climate change, in terms of environmental issues, certainly are one of the most important. And in this, it's just important for you to understand that domestic policies are the policies that affect our everyday lives. And so this is probably one of the most essential aspects of, again, who wins elections. But also in understanding this, we have to make sure how easy it is to manipulate us and to figure out what is most important, because sometimes that's determined for you by those who control the media and control the narrative to what you believe. So if we don't do a better job of assessing that, as opposed to just following what we hear, then we are doomed to be able to create policies that are disastrous or may have disastrous effects on the American people and the American public. And so we need to do a much better job on this end. And that is it for this particular chapter. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.